The 2013 offseason is actually kind of a pretty interesting moment to look back to. The Seahawks had just lost that divisional round game to the Atlanta Falcons, but it was a game where they very, very nearly came back and got them. So, looking at that team that season, you could definitely see hints that this was a very much up-and-coming team that was going to become a real force in the NFC at that point. So also when Doug Marrone had just gotten his first head coaching job with the Bills, which, didn't pan out great for him, but he left and ended up somewhere better. He also got us to 9-7, so that was something. But yeah, this was right after the Super Bowl, where the Jim Harbaugh's 49ers had lost to John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens in what a lot of people called the Harbaugh Bowl, and what I like to call the Super Bowl, because I think that sounds way cooler. And yeah, this was a moment when Colin Kaepernick and Joe Flacco were very much at the apex of their careers. Flacco, after a very iffy regular season, had really come through in the clutch, seemed to have proven himself, and really proved a lot of people wrong. Kaepernick, very young, very much looked like a guy with a great career in front of him. He had people like Ron Jaworski saying he was going to be one of the greatest to ever play the game. It's also a very, very big moment for Ray Rice. He bailed out Joe Flacco big time on that regular season play that saved their season, helped them make the playoffs after Flacco dumped down on him onto that 4th and long, where, man, if he didn't get that first down, the season was pretty much over. So he was very much at the peak of his career too, and so I'm saying all this, all it makes it feel like it's a lot more than 5 years ago. Yep. Yeah, so a lot of these cards in here are tops and score. Score was kind of interesting at this point because if you look back to their 2011 collection, one of the things they'd done is they'd gone back to the old logo from their 1989 through 93 collections. See, it's really big there up in the right top corner. And they'd put that even bigger on the package of the cards. They were really trying to tap into that nostalgia. So what they did in the 2013 collection, they went further. They actually took the overall design from their 89 collection and used it for their rookies. As you can see here with this Quentin Patton. Topps was also pretty interesting at this point. This was the first year that they actually featured the Twitter accounts of the players on the backs of their cards, at least for the players who have Twitter. And those are kind of interesting. It's one of those things that could make this set look really dated, depending what happens with Twitter going forward. Maybe not. Maybe the opposite will be the case. But yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of the time the Twitter account, for those who are active on Twitter would know this. I'm not really active on Twitter, but in a lot of the cases it's just the player's first and last name and number, but with some of these it's more like, some of them are more interesting. With like Tim Jennings here, you've got like Hen and Jen. With BJ Rahi, you've got Rahi Freezer 90. And of course my favorite, Ben Jarvis Green Ellis, you've got the law firm BJGE. Of course, you also have Topps. They also put out these. So, kind of these Topps Heritage-esque cards. I think they made quite a few of them, and strange thing about them is that they're a lot smaller than the regular cards. So you never really know what to do with them. It's like, do you put them in plastic with the other ones? That looks kind of weird if you've got another sheet behind them. They also put trivia questions on the backs of these. It's Doug Martin. Who is Tampa Bay's all-time leader with fumble recoveries? With 39 fumble recoveries. And of course the answer there is Vinny Testaverde. This is kind of a trick question, you know, I like that. It's like the way they word that, you make it think it's going to be a defensive player, and then it's not. It's quarterback who covered a lot of offensive fumbles, probably a lot of which were his own, if we're being honest about it. Here's another one. This is Drew Brees. Brees' 6 TD game in 2009 tied a franchise record set by which QB? It's Billy Kilmer. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So yeah, Topps was doing some cool things like that. There's Matt Barkley. We'll get into this QB draft class in a second, because they're kind of a strange one, to say the least. So rookie Lane Johnson, that's kind of a nice one to have. Not really a great rookie class all around, relatively speaking, you know, compared with some other ones, but I've got a few here like Terrence Williams. That's a nice one to have. I've got a Jordan Reed somewhere in here, I think. There it is. He's probably one of the top 5 or 10 rookies I've got in here. Yeah, Topps definitely went with the kind of Vegas-esque aesthetic for these inserts. It's 4,000-yard club, you see on that Matthew Stafford card. So we got a lot of Topps, a lot of score in here, a lot of these Prism, fair number of the Prestige. Panini Prestige, that is. Yeah, so really of all the people in all the quarterbacks in the draft class, this is the one that I actually thought was going to be pretty good, Mike Glennon. You know, I guess the way I was looking at that was just like, okay, you know, he's definitely got the best arm in the draft. Got a really good brain for the game, and, you know, his mobility's not great. He's 6'8", not a great 40 time, not a great 3-cone drill, which that's not ideal, but I thought the way he moved around in the pocket, the way he had a good sense of how things were developing and knowing when to get rid of the ball, I thought he'd overcome it just kind of from that standpoint. You know, his footwork could have been better, but I thought, you know, with good coaching that would improve. And, no, he kind of went to a Tampa Bay team that was kind of a mess. 2 seasons in a row, he came in like 3 games into the season when the team was 3 games down. I don't think that was particularly good for him, and then he went to Chicago and they were basically ready to move on from Trubisky. But a lot of people forget, you know, his rookie season, he was actually the first rookie to throw multiple touchdown passes in 8 games. So, he's in Arizona now, we'll see what happens. Thing is, even though he hasn't done anything that impressive so far, my prediction really was just that he'd be the best quarterback in this draft, and based on that, I'm not necessarily wrong, because just which other ones have really done anything at this point? Yeah, the Bucs were still starting Freeman at that point, and he was coming off a 4,000-yard season, but they were kind of getting tired of him, and only lasted a couple of games into 2013. But yeah, I got a lot of him here. An airmail. Franchise. Seems kind of a strange thing to dub him with in hindsight. Yep. But yeah, the quarterbacks that came into the league that year, it was like, if you were following it leading up to the draft, it was like every week, you know, the expert opinion on who was going to be really good out of these guys would change. you know, it kind of started like Glennon, Geno Smith, and Barkley were kind of the front runners, but since none of them were more impressive than they were in their last seasons before entering the NFL, it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe EJ Manuel's going to be better than any of these guys. Well, what about Zach Dysert, that big strapping kid from, Big Ben's alma mater? Isn't he really good? Or, what about Tyler Wilson? Isn't Tyler Wilson better than any of these guys? It's just changed every week. I think they were just desperate to make one of these guys out to be a potential franchise QB. So here's Le'Veon Bell. Almost certainly the best rookie I have in this collection. I think he was just voted, fourth or fifth best player in the NFL going into 2018, so that's certainly a nice one to have. And yeah, got Tyler Wilson's coming out the wazoo here. That's probably the thing that seems most conspicuous to me about this collection. Got a Topps Tyler Wilson, Press Pass Tyler Wilson, a Rookie Impact Prism Tyler Wilson, and a Topps Platinum Tyler Wilson. Got several Keenan Allens in here. That's kind of a nice thing. Really, after Tyrann Mathieu and Le'Veon Bell, he's probably the next best rookie I've got in here. Probably put Jordan Reed up there too. Lane Johnson. It's interesting if you look at the Bills draftees in this collection because they took EJ Manuel at QB, which at the time don't think we minded that much, only because we were so scared we were going to take Ryan Nassib with that pick. But he didn't quite turn out to be the answer. But then if you look at the receivers we got, it's like, okay, Marquise Goodwin and Robert Woods, they actually both just came off pretty good seasons, just not for us, Anyway. Cool collection. It's got some exciting stuff in it, and it's fun to look back on.